What's up, guys? So, today I had a random thought that I decided to discuss with people in my inner circle, and we could not seem to arrive at a consensus. So, it pretty much continued to marinate in my brain for the rest of the day, and I said, you know what? I'll stream it, and that'll be the end of it. And that is earlier, I noticed the trend, or trends, I should say, of two particular celebrities that stood out to me. And one of them was this Russian WWE fighter. I think his name is Nikolai or Nico. Let's call him Nico. I think it's something Nicholas or Nikolai, something like that. And then there was another celebrity who is supposed to be, or was a British snowboarder, and she ended up passing away in her 18th birthday, and apparently it was her own doing. The story was pretty much fresh. This was like many hours ago, so only I make this assumption because I saw that other tweets were saying that if you're struggling with anything, dial this number, this and that. So I have to assume that it was the circumstances were that she ended up doing that. And then I got to thinking, nowadays, are people really passing away more, or is it being reported more? And this also reminds me of the, can we call it a debate? But the other matter, which is how we hear a lot about relationships amongst people of the same sex and stuff. And I'm like, okay, has this thing really been going on for as long as they say? Or is it really just a thing that's more talked about now because it's not taboo? Now, this may seem like common sense. You might say, Zam, people have been dying forever. People die every day. It is normal. And in the same manner that these relationships have been taking place since forever. But of course, there aren't many places now where you have to suffer the consequences of that because it's become more widely accepted in society. But yet we still have the conversations of, we need more rights and this and that. And I'm like, well, if you're in the Western world, trust me, you're fine. It's not perfect by all means, but just in the same manner that straight people are also victims of crimes and whatnot. So, anyways, that'll be a whole nother topic for a whole nother debate, a whole nother stream. But the tricky part is that I wanted to see what I could accomplish, like always, on my own, without looking at stats, without looking up information. And in my personal opinion, I think that to a certain extent, we are actually, mortality rate is actually increasing. Although, given all the advances in medicine and technology and comfort and our ability to adapt to certain climates, should allow us to live a little longer. With that, a new set of problems have pretty much brewed. And most of it is how do we make resources be available for everyone? Like we keep talking about this food crisis that the world is entering or has already entered. And it makes sense because, I mean, when the human race, I guess, started, we were a few people, and now we're up there in the billions. So I don't think that nature had it planned for us to propagate like that, but at the same time, really? Is that true? Because there's room in the planet, but not everywhere can be inhabited. The only reason humans have really succeeded in like reproducing is because we have adapted to the challenges that our environment presented us. Like we were able to create, for instance, weapons at some point that let us hunt creatures that we could not combat one on one. But then there's also the aspect of we learned how to farm animals, how to pretty much, well, that the process of farming, we learned to dominate that so we can produce so much and make it accessible to so many people to where our numbers have increased. But I guess that because our numbers have increased proportionally, the same number of demises must be happening, because it's like back in the day when there were fewer of us, people lived longer, but it doesn't mean that we were going extinct or near extinction. But then now that we have so many more of us, there have been new problems showing up in society that we were not accounting for. And then I think that we have not adapted to some of those specific conditions. Some of them involve the stuff about mental health. Like, have we all been unstable for this long? Like, throughout civilization? Is this a thing that has always happened? The present concerns that we have with mental health. I'm not really going to dwell on this, so I'm going to stay pretty vague on it. But I feel like every time I go around and I ask people, what do you think about, do you think that times in the present are happier than in the past? Most people tell me no. Most people tell me I miss the days when I could go to work and work my regular shift and I had money to entertain myself, to pay all my bills, to maintain my kids. But now it seems like you have to put in more and more and more effort to accomplish the bare minimum. That's, again, another set of politics that correspond in another stream, but just to give you an idea of what direction I'm headed. You know, basically, most people say that their quality of life is kind of on the decline. So that's what confuses me a bit when it comes to my independent thinking, because I'm like, is it has it always been this way? Has civilization always been dissatisfied with their present, no matter what generation we are, what time period we are? That it goes hand in hand with what's going on in the present. But the only difference is that technology has enabled for us to be able to read about this stuff, hear about this stuff on a more global scale, and therefore it may seem like the world is really more depressing in the present than it's ever been. Does that make sense? It's like, I don't want to sit here and say that the present is our worst time in history. But at the same time, I don't want to say that it's the best time in history when it's been reported that, for instance, diseases that have never existed before are emerging, or the diseases that we once thought were wiped out, ancient diseases, are coming back, and they're coming back to hunt us because we don't have the immunity for it. See what I mean? So it seems like for every time that I determine, you know what, no, there isn't any more death, it's the same, I feel like I can find the point to counter that. In the same manner that vice versa, when I say, no, we're not dying more, quite the opposite, we're actually living longer. Um, it seems like more and more our youth is affected. But then again, has our youth always been affected, or is it just reported more, talked about more because the issue is not as much taboo? See what I mean? I know that I'm going all over the place with this. This is not really intended to be a stream that just flows like I'm used to. It's just that I have these questions in my mind, and it fascinates me when I ask more questions than I generate answers to, because it just forces me to rewire my thinking a little bit. and it's just challenging for me. It's I like to play games with my own brain, put it that way, especially since I don't go to school, and I really don't read as much as I should. But I like to think on my own. So that pretty much concludes my discourse. So I'm going to see what you guys are saying in the comments because I noticed the flow and the activity, and now I just hope that the flow remains and that me scrolling through them doesn't make the stream crash. Because if the stream crashes, I'm gonna be sad cookie. Really, really sad cookie. Okay, so Pinocchio says hello. Viking says hello. Herbert says hi. Nikolai Volkov. Yeah, that guy. I say hello to you guys as well. He used to partner up with the Iron Sheik back in the day. You know, I sort of remember him. I remember him by uniform and colors, like the guy who wore the red colors, but not really by wrestler. And you guys know that I did an entire stream where I tried to remember wrestler stuff, wrestling stuff. So, but yeah, he definitely did not come to mind. I guess he was from a way older generation. Like I didn't catch up with him. Or if I caught up with him, I missed him. Or he didn't stand out to me. The thing is, we have so much more pervasive media and with much faster access to the information, so we simply hear more about things like celebrity deaths. Exactly, Viking. That's the thing that made me more curious about this matter because it seems like all of a sudden that's all we hear about. But then, you know how we all have our little conspiracies going on where we are like, is this an attempt at mind control? Saying that not even rich people can survive, no matter how successful you are. You're not healthy, you're not spared, you're not safe. So, but I mean, your body can only do so much. Your genetics can only do so much. And that's why I bring it up. What's happening? Are people really getting sicker? Or are people just really fed up with life to where they don't know how to cope with the new way of living, which is all this technology and whatever? You're just disoriented and disconnected from nature that you just don't know your purpose in life anymore. Um, like a I think they call it an existential crisis. Is that what that means? But but I don't know. To me, there's just so much to do out there, so much life to do out there. But I guess we get so caught up wasting time or minding other people's business too much as opposed to our own that we just miss out on that stuff. And then we learn to pick up other people's tragedies and apply it to our lives, even though we don't have anything to do with it. Like, we carry the pressure of celebrities, we're concerned about them when they have their own life. They're already doing much better than most of us are, I guess. But see what I mean? It's weird to me. More population equals higher death rate. Yeah, horror bad. It's like, yeah, it's simple math. I get it. Like, if, especially with the boomer generation, when all those folks really, really hit their age to where it's just the life expectancy being reached, it's going to be quite a depressing time. All of our parents, grandparents, they're going to be gone. But that doesn't mean that humans are endangered. See what I mean? But at the same time, um, could they have lived longer? We recently had this lady who passed away at age 117, and she is believed to be the last person from 1901 who was alive. So our life expectancy doesn't seem to be that long nowadays. I feel like we are perishing at a younger age or we're just reporting it more. And a part of me wants to believe that we are headed in a negative direction because I keep hearing of so many people who are my age or even younger who they're getting sick with weird stuff already. Like some people I know have cancer, some people I know have diabetes, and I know that this has been a common thing, people get sick, but it's so close to me, and I don't remember hearing any of my older family members telling me that stuff, telling me that their folks used to get sick. My mother tells me that she never knew of anyone who was sick unless this was a person who was like disabled for some reason, or they played a sport and ended up injured or something. But cancer, obesity, diabetes, she says that she never heard about that until, shoot, years into her adult life, you know? But for me, I've been hearing of people having these issues since I was in school. And I feel like the most popular thing nowadays it's the gluten stuff, you know. People just can't have gluten. So, where are these issues coming from with our health, you know? We humans are one of the few species to procreate for pleasure, meaning it's always mating season for us. True, dolphins, we are a cancer to this planet. You know what? Like I have said before, we make it seem like we're making the world a better place, but in my personal opinion, we're not making it better necessarily. We are making it more comfortable for us, more suitable for us. But in the grand scheme of things, how are we helping bears' lives be better? How are we helping nature be better when we are actually actively destroying it to make room for our infrastructure? See what I mean? Does that really mean that the world is getting better? I'm not convinced by that. Let's see. I lost my place. Or we aren't a cancer to this planet. Oh, you actually corrected what you said. You said that we aren't a cancer. Well, now you know my opinion. I do think that we are undeniably doing some damage, and some of it may be irreparable. I hope that it's reparable. I guess nature will know what to do, but I don't know. This is one of those things that when you really think about it, you can either find reasons to back that up or find reasons to shoot that down. And that's what makes it so fascinating for me. I mean, there are theories that more similar, wait, there are theories that a more animals in a smaller area makes this animals crazy, like they are observed it in rats and New Yorkers. There are more and more people not working now. Hi, Zimri. Hey, Jordan. Regarding discontent, for the most part, the thing that creates most of this is stress. We live more complex lives than previously, and that creates stresses we are not adapted to yet. Exactly. I can see it in a lot of people's faces, especially when new technology is implemented. At least at my workplace, I see that, or say at Toyota, the Toyota that I go to, at least, they're implementing new technology, and I see it in the co-workers' faces. They're all frustrated. They're like, the old computer used to let me do this and that. The old system was like that and this. Now I gotta get used to this. It's not working right. And that's all I sense around us. Just stress, 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 stress. And don't even get me started on when you pursue a higher education and you discover that the job that you were actually hoping to get that made you get your degree in the first place is like obsolete, eradicated. Actually, that reminds me, that's something that my best friend was telling me earlier today. Telling me about the degree that he was messing with. And then all of a sudden, he cannot even find a job with that anymore. And I'm like, dude, they just completely flipped the tortilla on you. but uh but yeah, yeah, you're so right about that. And I guess that's what made me chicken out from college and any um job that's complex and let's call it important by present standards, because I just like to be as stress free as possible. Money is important, having a good job is important, having financial stability is important. But I mean, if I'm going to perish, I just want for it to happen as naturally as it can. If I have good genetics, I will live my 100 years with or without money, somehow. But see what I mean? I just could not wrap my head around that competitive aspect of the business world. I'm just not designed that way. And I see what stress does to people, and I feel okay. I feel fine. I know it could be better. Like the circumstances of my life could be better, but at least the little bit that I have is the little bit that I need. And if I aspire for more, what I do is I put the extra hours at work that I need and make the good stuff happen for me. It takes time, but I am in no hurry. But I feel like a lot of people have like this weird urgency attached to everything. Like you want everything immediately. You're not really patient. You don't know how to wait things out. And I'm just not like that. I don't mind waiting for some things, you know? But some personal matters I feel cannot be postponed. But I cannot relate to the stress that other people go through, and I don't want to just say that I'm special or better than anyone else, but at least I can go to bed and I actually sleep. There was a time when I couldn't sleep, but those were medical reasons. But you know, most people they're just edgy all the time, and I just I didn't want to have a part on that. Put it that way. I feel like I wanted to do something different during my youth. So, anyways, but we are dying more. More humans equal more deaths. What up, Z? Everybody, there are more humans than there were 1,000 years ago. So naturally, we have more deaths. Youth do not care for anyone. Way back in the day, Nikolai had a trip out here to Australia, and I had the chance to see him wrestle live. Cool. In the 80s, people worked for retirement. Now there is none to look for. True. True that. I absolutely do not have a retirement plan. I don't even know how to get it started, but whatever. I guess I'll work until my old lady body allows it. I mean, I guess I can look at it in such a relaxed way now because I'm still young, not in pain, energetic, and I know that that's not how things are going to be forever, but I like to be someone who crosses the bridge when I get to it. Because what if I don't have to worry about it? I mean, what if I don't even come back home tomorrow after work? Because people be driving crazy. See what I mean? It's like I always try to make plans like I will be here tomorrow, but when I think about it, anything, absolutely anything can happen. We've been having pretty inclement weather lately. What's to keep a storm from tearing through my place? See what I mean? And then I have to start all over. I have a new set of problems to deal with. See what I mean? So if a storm were to knock this home down, I am not tripping. The only thing that I'll be a little mad about will be my car because I do anything to not deal with insurance companies, and I know that they're gonna tell me something, and my car is actually useful for me. But I mean, everything is replaceable as long as I'm alive. You can make it in life. I think that's what's more important. Stay alive and don't be in jail. And you have ways to um, make life better for you. You just gotta put in the work and the effort. And I'm not afraid of that. Let's see, where am I? Yes, it's an existential crisis. We are less involved in face to face communities, being online much more, and we are a social species and need that personal content. You know what? You're right. I guess it goes back to what I said in an earlier stream about how not to devalue the presence of you guys, but you have been the most social I have been outside of work. And it's just not the same when you have a face to face interaction and then all of a sudden now you're relying on the comfort of being behind the screen. You don't look at this person in the face. You don't know what kind of facial expressions they have going on. Sometimes a person's facial expression can make the difference between me continuing to talk or giving up right there or being intimidated and not saying anything. Um, but but this is so much easier to deal with. I just post something and then I just chill, lay back, wait for a comment, look at it, reply, and something. There's not that pressure of being debated live, face to face. So this helps me improve my social skills for sure, but it doesn't accomplish the same as actually being present with someone. And that's why I say I could not handle a long distance relationship. There's no way that I could handle a relationship with a guy in the military, because it's like I will have to owe them an extra level of respect that I just don't think I'm designed to do. Like, I don't want to be alone. I just cannot be alone. So maybe more of us are more alone in real time, but we are connected with people. But that, although we are connected, we are not bonding like we are accustomed to and designed to. Um, like, I'm pretty sure that you guys hear about how it takes a whole village to raise a child. And nowadays it's so normal to for people to go far away from their families. I know I'm far away from um, most of my family members, so what does that tell you? And then the classmates that I was close with, they're far away from me. Most of them are in a different state. And I'm not even close to my hometown anymore. I'm like 150 miles away now. Doesn't sound like much, but it's not like I can go back there every week, every weekend, every year. See what I mean? But anyways, I believe people making disease up to buy pills, they are making all kinds of disease nowadays. You're right. There's also the business aspect of things. We hear about it all the time. Pharmaceuticals. Isn't the pharmaceuticals industry the biggest one or something? There are younger people killing themselves more than ever. I believe that. Because my mom is proving that to me. She's like, I never heard of anyone who would do that. Yes, she knew of people who opted for that, but it was definitely not at such a young age. Usually, the folks in her circle who passed away, it was due to accidents, like car accidents, motorcycle accidents. The reason we die, provided you are healthy or no third party is responsible for your death, is because we grow old. Scientifically, growing old equals so our body produces less DNA and RNA. Right, like your DNA only can replicate so many times. Producing less DNA and RNA leads to deteriorating body and wrinkly skin. There are some species that are immortal, like jellyfish. Jellyfish easily get murdered though. Now you know why the wealthy are interested in consuming stem cell products. Yes. You can collect a social security check if you make it to age 72. You pay for it now in taxes. Pray before you leave the house and to come back home. My mom always does that. She's like, every time I'm driving, I'm saying a prayer. Every time I wake up, I say a prayer. This and that. I wish I had a habit of doing that. It's just my spiritual connection is just different. It won't be much though. You may have to work as a Walmart greeter when you're old. Right. I always wondered why older folks just had to do that. I always wanted to say that they just mismanaged their money when they were younger, but I'm like, nah. There's always more than one cause to, let's call it, financial disaster. So, anyways, jail is never the place to be. College is a great place to be. Kids are raised by social media these days. I'm not afraid to be alone because God got my back. I'm a man to stand up on my feet, not joining no games. Big Pharma is certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest. Tech would give it a run for its money. The big issue with pharma is that it's become driven by money instead of easing suffering. Exactly. And that, my friend, is the reason why I gave up on my quest of being a doctor. I was interested in the medical field for real. Um, not that long ago, like 4 years ago or so. And then I said, you know what? I would want to actually be the kind of doctor who focuses on preventive care, but I feel like what my company would expect from me, my hospital would expect from me, is for me to be signing freaking prescriptions to make them more money, to make big pharma more money. And I'm like, no, if I have this patient with me, I genuinely want for them to get better and for their body to function for them like it used to, not to be relying on freaking placebos. See what I mean? Like, what did the people from the good old days used to do before they had all these so called medicines, you know? These people lived long. What were they doing? I'll tell you what they weren't doing. They weren't taking pills, that's for sure. It was never about easing suffering. It was always about money. By the time you retire, you will be computers controlling your future. Oh, absolutely. I believe it. Well, guys, I think I am going to bail here. I definitely should get some sleep because I have a morning